Hi guys, just out with Alf, boy. Just wanted to talk about something that happened yesterday. So I put up a video. I was out at Cahore Point and was getting in for a swim. And like, doesn't it just baffle you sometimes the selfishness of people? Like, I do laps, like I do lengths. There's buoys or buoys if you're American. Sounds better saying I swam out the buoys than I swam out the buoys. That sounds a bit creepy, but so we'll say buoys. But there's a load of them. You've got yellow and green ones, and they're quite obvious. And all along them is the swimming area, and sometimes I do lengths. I just find it good. I'm a pretty decent swimmer, so it's good exercise for me. And the RNLI practice their swimming there, like their sessions, so they rescue people. They basically do drills where they're practicing if someone is drowning in the water, how to save them. Provide a valuable service. But yesterday I was out swimming and I could see people in jet skis, and now they're not supposed to be there in the first place, right? But anyone in boats or whatever, anything with an engine that could cause harm, isn't to be in the swimming section. And it's quite obvious, it's laid out. Maybe there isn't enough signs. He's just knocking for his friend. Yeah, good boy. Coming? Yeah. You coming, Alf? Good boy. Yeah, there were these fuckers like in their jet skis, and nobody complains. If they stayed out of the swimming area, I think everybody would be like, grand, you've literally got the whole sea. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as if you're spoiled for choice with the space you have. Like, there's a pier out there. I don't know if anyone knows Cahore, but it's nice. I get in at the beach side of it, but there were kids jumping in at the pier, and I got back from my swim after swimming out because I was like, fuck them, I'm not letting them put me off. And a lady came up to me and said, Jays, you're very brave, were you not scared? And I was like, scared? No, why? She was like, one of the jet skis missed you, by an inch. That's an inch. And I was like, oh, really? And I think you can kind of hear the engines under the water as you're swimming. And I like to do the front crawl. That and the breaststroke. I was doing the breaststroke then, though, so the head's up, it's like the frog, what a frog does. And I'm built like a frog, so no wonder I'm quite good at it. Good boy. Yeah. He's getting great at his doggy paddle. Yeah, you're a natural. But I'm actually really impressed with him. I'm proud of him. He gets in now, no bother. Don't you? Yeah, you're a great swimmer. You met a Newfoundland, a Newfie, and her name's Layla. She's lovely as well. She was even a bit afraid to get in, but not Alf. Alf got in immediately. Yeah, good boy. But getting back to my rant, like, I got in the water and I was like, they're not supposed to be in the swimming area. And I was like, well, I just leave it and not swim out as far. And I was like, no, if they hit me, they can pay for my funeral, Or if they injure me, they can pay my medical bills. Like, very stupid. But I did my lengths anyway, and they were circling around, like doing laps in and out and doing donuts of the buoys. Definitely much easier to say that. I'm gonna start saying it from now on. I don't care if people slag me off. But I got back out of the water and I was talking to this one. She came over to me and she was saying like she's here with her kids and she normally swims out as well. And there were first aiders who were there as well, practicing. And your man was talking to me. I think a few people rang the guards, 999, which is our local police, for anyone who doesn't know. They were like, oh, you're better off ringing the coastguard, but none of them chose to do that. So I was like, well, have any of them actually taken the guards up on what they said? Have any of them bothered ringing the coastguard? And I was thinking, don't be doing that, it's nothing. Very Irish thing where we're like, don't make a fuss, and it often comes over me. I was like, well, I say something to the fellas, I say, look, you're not supposed to be here, and I kind of get sick of being the. I was joking about it with my brother yesterday. The Americans say, don't be douchey. Don't be a douche. I was like, my volunteer douchebag for the day. But I always feel like I'm the prick that gets, volunteered to go up and complain to someone or tell someone to leave, as I have been in jobs. You get spoken to like shit, but when they need someone to leave, you're the one who has to go up and actually, be assertive. And I'm kind of fucking sick of it, There's only so much assertion you can practice. It does take it out of me as well. Like, friendly conversations take it out of me. Never mind having to go up and have a potential confrontation with someone. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to do that. I'll ring the coastguard. Because at this point, I was genuinely worried that a child was going to get hit with a jet ski. I was scared. So I was like, look, there's not making a fuss, not getting into a row with someone, but then there's a matter of safety. It's like, we can all stand around here, with our fingers up our arses, but I was genuinely concerned about people for the RNLI who were practicing their drills, and I was scared for kids as well who were out there. They were also looked like a couple. They had a boat each, like a canoe, and these arseholes were driving by very close to them, spraying them. You could see them getting kind of annoyed and kind of stopping the canoe. At least that's what I took from it. Maybe they didn't see anything wrong with it. And I've made that mistake before, getting involved when someone doesn't want you to. And I was like, even if I go up to these arseholes, they're probably not going to listen to me. And even if they do, they'll probably say, yeah, fine, we won't do it. And then as soon as I'm gone, they'll do it again. That's been my experience. So I was like, fuck it. Other people rang the guards. I was like, I'll ring the coastguard. They came out, and in fairness to them, they dealt with it pretty well, I have to say. And they responded very fast. I wasn't really given any instruction. I was like, do I stay around? Or, but when I say they missed the boat, they missed the kid, and they missed someone by an inch. Like, that's what it looked like to me. Now again, maybe it was just the view I had, because when you're actually in the water, people are further away than they seem. But when my head went under, everybody said you couldn't see it, so they were worried. Maybe I was just trying to make a point. Like, I let it roar, this is for swimming, this area is for swimming, you're not supposed to be here. But over the engine, they couldn't hear me, and I'm sure they wouldn't have cared anyway. And that's just kind of like, why'd you have to be an arsehole? Do you know what I mean? You've literally got an entire ocean to use that fucking thing in. Like, if someone's going around in a boat or a paddleboard, sorry, not an engine now, I mean a canoe, a little canoe or a kayak or a little paddle boat, whatever, something without an engine, but that's really what makes it more dangerous. Like, why do you have to do it right there in a section where there's people swimming? And loads of people swim in that area, Cahore is very popular. Like, they were kind of using the buoys as like a track, course to zigzag in and out of. And like we're fairly lenient down in Ireland, like we are, you know. Most places are not very lenient, but we are. We're very open-minded and we don't like to get people in trouble. There's that very neighbourly thing of, don't be an arsehole, don't call the police on someone, or we're not as quick to do it as they might be in other countries, let's say. We're fairly relaxed, I would say. But I saw a kid and then a volunteer nearly get hit, and I was like, look, I can go over there, big dick energy, and and that's all it would be for. It's for, my own ego to go over and go, yeah, I told them. But if they didn't stop, they might have told me they would stop, and then they didn't. At this point, like, it became a concern, like, genuinely about people being safe. I was genuinely afraid that someone would get hit, and I was like, no, fuck this, I'm ringing someone, the coastguard, because someone will get fucking hit, and I don't want to know that I could have done something about it. And I don't want that area ruined for a lot of people who do go down regularly, Like, I'll have a chat with people, like older people. There's an older man that goes down there, there's an older woman from the chemist here. Man, I'll pick a side. I chat to them regularly, and they're not going to be the type to go up and say anything. And old school, like I say, they're not going to want to get people in trouble. They're not like, your stereotypical cranky elderly people who are like, you can't play here, you can't do this. They're quite friendly and pleasant, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do something. Because as you say, going up to someone, you're only doing it for your own ego. And a lot of times that's why I've done it. But I was concerned about people's safety. As I say, I was already out of the water, and ignorance is bliss, because I was completely unaware, blissfully unaware that anyone was near me. Apparently they got closer than I thought. And there was talks that there might be nets and all put in, and barriers, so you can't actually come in. They have them in Spain. When I was in Benidorm, they had one. There's people on paddle boats getting drunk and driving jet skis drunk. And in fairness, the Coast Guard came straight out. They're very proactive in Spain, which is pretty good. They have to be, with all the trouble that they've had. But yeah, my advice to you is keep yourself safe. And if you see something like that, just call the people who are paid to do it. Here's our friends now. Oh yeah, we go say hello. We go home. See you, fellas. Okay. Yeah. Bye bye. As they say, lovely dogs. You just need to get them on their own and pet them. Beat their shit. No. Even joking about it makes me sad. But yeah, in a situation like that, it just got me thinking, what was the result? Everything worked out well. The result I was looking to achieve was achieved without me having to get involved properly, Because I've no shame in admitting it, I did think, if you were a real man, you'd go over and you'd say it to them. Then I was like, but what would they actually do? Would they listen? Probably not. And I've no authority. I've no authority to actually do anything. Not being paid as well, I'm kind of glad that I didn't let my ego get in the way and I just said no. Like, they could have hit me, they could have hit somebody else. Just being an arsehole, Like, if the whole fucking sea, like, that was a real, on their part it was real, we're gonna do what we want, fuck everybody else, And one response I got before from a fellow was, well, I know what I'm doing. And to be fair, he did. But then there was another lad who seemed to know what he was doing, but I think they were drinking. They looked like they'd been drinking. and he says to his young fella, the son, he's like, do you want to go? And the son was like, okay. He looked excited but nervous at the same time, and he nearly crashed the yoke, and the young fella got a real fright, and then it was like, okay, get out. I've had experience with that in a land vehicle. But there are a lot of people who are irresponsible in them. So report that shit if you see it, you know. Don't be afraid to. And don't put yourself in danger for it, you know. And don't be an arsehole, alright? See you in the next one.